It doesn't really matter how good your lead magnet is. If you can't get traffic to your lead magnet landing page, then it's not going to be successful. So in this video, I'm going to give you 7 specific strategies that you can use to get a flood of traffic and a flood of leads to your lead magnet so that you can get more leads and eventually more sales. Number 1, become a serial podcast guester. What does that mean? So rather than you set up your own podcast and spend hundreds or thousands of pounds on gear and then interview loads of people about their stories and about their businesses, why not be invited onto dozens of other people's podcasts? When I first started my business, I became a guest on dozens of podcasts. I asked to be interviewed on multiple different shows in multiple different niches, just so that I could get into the rhythm of talking without stuttering and actually having a normal conversation with one person that went out to hundreds, if not thousands of people. So it's really, really good for you to lay out your story and your processes and things that are important within your business so that potentially you can get other clients from it as well. Daniel Priestley, the co-founder of ScoreApp, was interviewed on hundreds of podcasts over the past few years, and then he got invited onto Ali Abdaal's podcast and Stephen Bartlett's podcast and so many others. So he now gets millions of listens or views, because a lot of them get turned into YouTube videos. So he gets millions of views that then go on to download his lead magnets. They go and download the book. They go and sign up to a free trial with ScoreApp. They take the next step because Daniel has given up an hour of his time to speak to one person, happens to be hundreds, if not thousands or millions of people listening in to learn more about what Daniel does, learn more about what you do within your business and how someone can take the next step with you. The one question that you always get asked at the end of a podcast is, how can people learn more about you? And that's where you can say, I've created this lead magnet, I've created an online assessment or a quiz, I've created a free mini course that you can take and watch the videos and go down a little path and a little rabbit hole with me in order to learn more about what I do and potentially work with that person in the future. So going out one-to-one with people and having one-to-one conversations at events and networking events is great, but it's much better if you can spend 1 hour of your time being interviewed and having someone extract all of those amazing stories from you, and then you have hundreds, if not thousands of people listening to you, and then going on to download your lead magnet, take your assessment, join your webinar, and so on. It's an incredibly powerful way for you to reach more people with a small amount of time. Number 2, contribute to communities. So there's tons of people out there that are part of online paid community forums, like membership sites, like courses, like Patreon. A lot of people pay to be part of a small tribe of people. Wouldn't it be good if you could get in front of that small tribe of people? This is super effective if you have a niche, because you can actually target people that run membership sites or courses within your niche, within your target markets area. And that's the important thing to remember. People that take part in other people's communities and pay a monthly subscription are payers. You know, podcasting is wonderful because you can reach thousands of people, but they're not all ready to buy. Whereas when someone's already paying for somebody's support and to be part of somebody's community, then they're much more likely to have funds to pay and buy your services as well. So it's really, really good. Even though you might only have maybe 50 or 100 people in a community, you can actually offer to contribute some training. You could offer to do a Q&A with their audience and their community. You could offer to run a workshop or a web class. You can provide real value to their audience, and then at the end of that conversation, again, they're going to ask you, where can people find out more about you? How can people take the next step with you if they're interested? And that's where you bring up your lead magnet again. So you're being introduced to a brand new group of people that are already paying attention, and they're already spending money to learn from you as a byproduct of you contributing to that community. And at the end of that conversation, at the end of that workshop or Q&A, you're then able to introduce the next step, which might be take my mini course, take the assessment, download my checklist, whatever it is that you have as your lead magnet. If you're speaking to 100 people who are spending time and money listening to you at that moment in time, which they are, even if you're not receiving that monthly membership, they're still paying, they're paying attention. This is where you can really bring people over to your community and your tribe and take people on a journey with you. If you provide real value, then they're really interested in taking the next step with you. I've done this so many times and I've taken on direct clients off the back of this. So rather than leads, think about clients. These people are already spending time and paying money to listen to your advice. So why not get them over onto your email list and start providing some extra content? They're going to find it valuable and you can eventually try to turn that person into a client. Number 3 is what I call content bursts. So content bursts are where you take your lead magnet, whatever it is, and you break it off into multiple subcategories. So for instance, if you have a fitness assessment and you want to break that off into multiple types of content, you could do nutrition, you could do cardio, you could do weight training, and you could use those as content pillars. Now, content pillars are categories of content that you can create long form blog posts out of. You can create tons of YouTube videos, you can create podcasts if you wanted to, and you can use those pillars to give you a plan for your content. So if we're just talking about cardio, for instance, you could create articles like 5 mistakes you make with cardio, how to do cardio after an injury. You could talk about common misconceptions about cardio, and you can do that for each individual category within what it is that you do. So all of your content pillars will give you lots of long form content ideas that you can then place on your website, get tons of traffic to it, put it on YouTube, put a podcast out there, and you can use those key pillars within your lead magnet or the topic that you discuss and use it to create and to form content. Now, I want you to think about content bursts as long form content. So that means long form blog posts, long form videos, long form podcasts. We're going to talk about short form in a moment, but it's much better for you to think about answering the longest version of that conversation. You're going to get website traffic. It's great for SEO. The more content that you put on your website, the more that you're going to attract organic traffic. Really important that you have a long form strategy first before you talk about short form. And let's be honest, the number 1 website in the world is still Google. You know, I know people are thinking, oh, LinkedIn's great for producing content and Facebook and Instagram, but they're nothing in comparison to the amount of traffic that Google drives. And that's because we're all addicted to content. We go to Google, we type in a question, we type in a problem we're having, we type in a product that we're thinking of buying, and what do you get to? You get to long blog posts that go into detail. They offer tons of content, tons of insights, stories, data, research, all about that topic. And it's usually the people that go into detail the most that get the most traffic. At least that's a majority of the time. The reality is that when you produce long form content, it makes producing short form content way easier. The important thing to remember is that all of the long form content you produce on your website, on your blog, on your YouTube channel and your podcast, it has to be related to your lead magnet, because then what you can do is within those pieces of content, you can include big buttons, big images, big links back to your lead magnet. So if you think about your lead magnet as the source for all of your content ideas, and then you break it off into those multiple categories, then you can create content based on those categories, those content pillars, and then it makes complete sense when you loop people back to your lead magnet. So it's super relevant. There's no point in writing stories that are completely unrelated to your offers and your lead magnets. Otherwise, it's not really going to link back to your lead magnet. It's not going to make sense. So use the content that you have, stay on topic, and drive lots of organic traffic to your lead magnets. It works really well. Number 4, direct messages or DMs. It's not the sexiest thing in the world, and it's not always good to receive those what we call pitch slaps in the DMs, where someone just immediately connects with you on LinkedIn. You know, welcome to my network. Let's book a call. Are you free for 15 minutes? Buy my thing. It's just not fun. So that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is you being able to go out to your network in DMs to have conversations with people. If you're thinking about launching a product or service in the next few weeks and you want to launch a wait list, why not go out to your existing network? Why not ask for feedback? Why not reach out to people who you've been commenting, liking, and replying to get their feedback? Send them a message. Say, how's things going? How's business? I'd love to get your feedback on this new lead magnet I'm creating. I've created an assessment. I'd love to hear what you think. You know, just by simply going out to your existing audience and your existing network, You can get some really good feedback. You can also open up the conversation to potentially working with those people. One of the things about LinkedIn and these other platforms as well is people are so focused on providing entertaining content. And sometimes I'm scrolling through LinkedIn and I see these people creating this content, but I have no idea what they do or why I'm connected to them. So occasionally it's nice for someone to remind you, oh, by the way, I help people with video, or I help people fix, how to dress for business events or whatever it is. It's nice for you to actually reach out to people. So it's always good to remind people, if you do video and you want to create a video lead magnet, reaching out to them and saying you want some feedback will help them, remind them what it is that you do. The same goes for whatever niche that you're in. It's good to reconnect with people. It's good to remind them what it is that you do, and also come from a place of feedback, telling them that you created something, tell them you've created a case study and you'd like to hear what they think. These are ways that you can start sending more DMs to train that muscle and have more conversations and strengthen those connections. And that's the reality. You've already got lots of people who probably follow you, who you're connected to. Why not actually reach out to those people rather than sending cold DMs to people that don't know who you are and are not interested in your sales pitch? Warm the people up who you're already connected to, and eventually they might turn into sales. At the very least, they're going to start filling in your forms. They're going to start giving you their time, answering your questions, joining a wait list, giving you some feedback on the flow of it. So you're going to have some good conversations, but it's a very, very quick, fast way to get eyeballs on your content and your lead magnets as soon as possible. Some of the things that we'll discuss in this video and have already discussed take a little bit of time. And that means if you're writing long form content or you're trying to be a guest on a podcast or in a community, that's all well and good, but it might take a few weeks. If you want to release your lead magnet right now and get instant traffic to it, then DMs is a perfect way to go. Number 5, lead magnet exchange. I love this one. This one has actually delivered some incredible results for my business. So what you can do is you can go out to somebody who is in a similar industry, but you offer different services. So for instance, if you're a money coach and you have a budgeting quiz, and there's somebody else out there that has a newsletter about finance, you don't offer the same products or services, but you have a similar audience. So you can actually reach out to that person and say, I love your newsletter. Why don't I promote your newsletter to my audience? And you can promote my budgeting quiz to yours. It's a very mutually beneficial exchange that would allow you to be in front of more people who don't already know who you are, and vice versa. It doesn't cost any money, it's fast, and it's also really, really valuable because that person is recommending you to their audience. Now that comes from a very positive frame. The person who they listen to week after week, month after month on that newsletter is making a recommendation, which they've probably done in the past. So that means that that's extremely valuable. You're not just going in cold. That's a very valid recommendation. And chances are people are going to take them up on that option. They're going to check out your budgeting quiz or whatever it is that you have, and they're more likely to convert into a lead because it's come from a recommended resource that they trust. Now, if you don't have an email list, you can also do an indirect exchange. That means if you have a few thousand followers on LinkedIn and they don't, they might have a few thousand people on their email lists, then why not negotiate an exchange that makes sense for both of you? You can promote their newsletter on LinkedIn, they can promote your budgeting quiz on their email list. It can work really, really well as long as you start having some conversations. So make a list of 5 other businesses that have a similar audience, and why not reach out and ask to collaborate in some way? It works really, really well. We do this all the time with Score. We contribute to other people's communities. We actually exchange promos, and it works well because we have a similar audience, we have similar goals, and it's just easier and faster and cheaper to collaborate rather than to start doing Facebook ads from scratch or to start a brand new marketing campaign. These people already known, like, and trusted, so it makes sense to collaborate and everybody wins. Number 6, social media. We can't really talk about lead generation in this day and age without talking about social media. In fact, we get thousands of leads every single month just from organic social media. So without spending money on ads like Facebook and Google, we're able to generate thousands of webinar registrations and assessment quizzes and downloads of books, all off the back of organic social media. One of the best platforms is LinkedIn, and you can create tons of content on LinkedIn and direct people straight to your lead magnet. The important thing is that you have a strategy when planning the content and publishing the content. But the other thing is super important, and that's have your link in your bio. Have every bio filled out with your direct link. And this is why it's so important for you to have one main lead magnet that you can put your full weight behind, because that way people aren't getting confused. If they're on Instagram, if they're on LinkedIn, if they're on Twitter or X, then you've got the same link across all platforms. So everybody's fully aware that if they engage with your content and want to take the next step, that they are taking the step that you want them to. That's why it's best for you to have one proper lead magnet when you're promoting your social media content, so people don't get confused and go down a variety of different rabbit holes. Really have a very clear path for social media. Now, when it comes to planning the content, you can use a similar sort of structure to what we've spoken about with long form content. You can take the main categories and the main content pillars to create dozens of pieces of LinkedIn content or Instagram content or Facebook, whichever social media accounts you want to use. Take those ideas from the content pillars. Like I said, if it was cardio and you're in the fitness industry, then it would be 5 mistakes somebody would make. You've not got the chance to write 1,500 word article on LinkedIn because they have character limits, but you can summarize it. You can actually create shorter versions of that conversation and that content for LinkedIn. You know it's relevant, so you know it makes sense for you to include a link at some point to your main lead magnet. You can also then rotate your categories. So on Tuesday, on Wednesday, Thursday, you would alternate the different categories, and you can create so much content from that. And that's just text posting. You can create image versions of those individual pieces of content as well. Maybe you could record a short video. Maybe you could design a cheat sheet that somebody could look at and have visual representation to the point that you're trying to make. So you can actually use those content ideas and map them across multiple content types. And let's not forget that you've got multiple social media profiles. So you can use that content over and over and over again. As long as you've got that main lead magnet link in your bio, then anyone who stumbles across that content knows the next step to take. It's very powerful, social media, but you have to have a really clean, clear strategy. Number 7, contests and competitions. So this is my way of encouraging people to opt in for your lead magnet. So rather than you just constantly promoting your lead magnet on social media or on your newsletter, you can actually encourage people to take part in a contest or a competition. So what that means is whatever your lead magnet is, whether it's a survey or whether it's a free copy of your book, the best thing in the world is if you can encourage them with added bonuses, maybe even a contest or a competition. As an example, one of the lead magnets that I've launched in the past was a survey. There was 14 questions, and I wanted people to answer those questions so that I could put together a research report. Really straightforward, really simple. The problem is that a lot of people don't like filling out surveys. So we actually encouraged people to complete it and try to be as honest and transparent as they could be with some bonuses. So we then said, if you fill out this survey, you're going to get a free copy of our book. But not only that, is that one person selected will win £750 worth of bonuses. So courses, book, cheat sheets, all the things that we had within our business. So it didn't cost us any money. The reality is that the conversion rate on that landing page was double what we usually get, because we incentivize them so much. The great thing about incentivizing people is you can promote that so much on social media because you're promoting a gift, you're promoting a competition, a reward. You've got an awful lot of runway within that for you to constantly promote it. You know, I've launched a competition. All you have to do is take part in the lead magnet. You know, make the content and the contest relevant. Don't be giving away an iPad because anyone can fill that out and give you any answers. They just want the iPad. But if you can make the bonuses and the resources and the competition win very relevant, that's why we said business books, content resources, then we got relevant people filling out our form, answering the questions and taking part in our lead magnet. and the results were absolutely outstanding. So much, in fact, that we added hundreds of people to our email newsletter within the space of a few days, and they then went on to buy products and services from us. So if you want to increase your conversion rate on your landing page, then offer that extra incentive. Maybe launch a competition every now and again in order to encourage people to attend. The results are, from that landing page that we created, that we had an 83% conversion rate. Now, typical landing pages convert around 10, 20, 30, 40% if you're lucky, maybe 50% on a good day. Because we added that extra incentive, we were able to promote it more on social media because it was more fun and engaging. More people wanted to take part, but it also incentivized them to opt in when they got to the page. So it's win-win. So if you've got a chance to encourage people with those extra incentives, I highly recommend you do it. So there you have it, 7 specific traffic generating techniques so that you can get loads of eyeballs on your content, so that you can get loads of new leads that eventually will turn into sales. So what we've actually done with ScoreApp is that we create resources, tools, and templates in order to help you get on podcasts, to help you send more DMs, to help you create content easier and faster than ever before. And this is why we've launched what we call the lead generation toolkit. So anyone who is on a paid account with ScoreApp, which could be you, will get access to dozens of resources, courses, checklists, cheat sheets, just scripts and everything else that you can imagine that you're going to need in order to generate more leads. And we've actually included this in our ScoreApp subscriptions. So rather than you pay $2,000 for a course on lead generation or £50 a month to a lead generation membership, we've just included it for free on any paid ScoreApp subscription. So it doesn't matter what package you're on, as long as you're on a paid account, you're going to get access to the lead generation toolkit for free. So if you want to check out ScoreApp, if you're not already a paying customer, click the link in the description and you'll get instant access to all of those resources that we've discussed to make achieving these 7 traffic generating techniques far easier and faster and cheaper than it might have been otherwise. So check out scoreapp.com and I'll see you on the inside. So let me know, which of these 7 traffic generating techniques are you going to try next? I'd love to know. Also, if you found this helpful, click like and subscribe and I'll notify you the very next time that we release a video.